Hey guys, this is Jay Calderon with JAYONBOXING, here giving you a personal prediction for Liam Smith versus Chris Eubank Jr. 2. And as always, this is just my take, of course. Your predictions can be left down in the comments section below. Love to hear them all. This is going to be a pretty interesting fight, as I say about every fight, of course, because you just don't know what's going to happen, especially after their first encounter. So love to hear all that down in the comments section below. And a little bit of fight info here. We have Liam Smith taking on Chris Eubank. This will be at the Manchester Arena in Manchester, England. Pretty appropriate. This will be airing live on Sky Box Office in the middleweight division with no titles on the line. So, didn't really expect the first fight when it happened. Of course, really didn't expect the rematch. Why? Because, like most I presume, Eubank was the favorite and thought he would win and kind of move into his next fight soon thereafter. I was clearly wrong. Instead, we had a sizable upset, even if, in hindsight, it shouldn't have been so massive, and now the return bout to kind of settle the score once and for all is here, and we don't know where the hell it's going to go. What's so compelling about this rematch is that you really don't know what to expect. The first fight kind of teaches that. You know, we had the average power in Smith knocking out the usually iron-chinned Eubank. If that doesn't teach you that you can never predict boxing perfectly, I don't know what will. That said, I'm here to kind of give a semi-educated guess anyway, and you're all here to listen to it. So, is it revenge or repeat? Let's break this one down. Starting off with Smith here, for Smith to win, you want to counter with the right. Eubank has a decent jab at times, but at other times, it can be a bit lazy. You want to take advantage of that, of course. The way in which you can do that is by trying to counter over the top of it with that right hand. It's a right hand you throw pretty well. You throw it with some confidence. You're a seasoned professional. It's a shot that comes very natural for you. What's more, you had success with it in that first fight. It was really the first shot that kind of troubled him and ultimately led to the stoppage to begin with, so it's certainly a blow you're going to want to revisit. Once that right hand starts going, or if he's a bit weary of it to begin with, then you can start incorporating that left maybe in the hook form and then lining up the right. But certainly a shot you want to revisit because of the success you had in the first fight and try to get him into trouble with the shot that you know works against him. I would also say get him on the ropes. Ultimately, I think Eubank is a fighter that needs space. He wants to be able to set up, and because he isn't someone that makes it feel like boxing comes so naturally to him, he needs time to kind of think about what he's doing. You don't want to give him that time. Part of that means you're going to have to push him back and apply some pressure. What's more, as mentioned again, this is where you hurt him, so you want to put him in that kind of familiar territory. Do you want to go looking for the knockout? No. But what you do want to do is remind him of the trouble he's faced against you, put some panic in him, and make him sort of make the mistakes you're looking to capitalize on. This will also make him busier if he's trying to fight out of it, and again, leads to more of those mistakes, the mistakes that you can then capitalize on because you're the more naturally styled fighter, a fighter that kind of just seems to take to the sport a bit better in just a natural way. Take advantage of that by pushing him into those moments where he's going to have to make quick decisions and then pounce on the mistakes, and you can do this by getting him up against the ropes and then really getting to work. And finally, I would say make Eubank miss. Now, again, one of the easiest ways in which to do this is going to be by trying to force the pace and pushing him back up into those ropes. I think those two things kind of go hand in hand. But another way in which you can do this is by using that head movement that you used, that slipping style that you were using in that first encounter. Really gave Eubank problems when he couldn't just line up a more sitting duck of a target. Again, ultimately, this is about you being a smarter fighter, and the more you make him think or make mistakes, the more openings this creates for you, and those kind of easy-to-slip shots that he was throwing at you give you all the better of a chance of capitalizing. Making him miss is kind of pivotal to this game plan. Again, to counter, to land that right hand, to, of course, push him up against the ropes, and then really apply pressure long-term in this fight. And the more you make him miss, the more those kind of opportunities are created for yourself to really capitalize. Now, switching over to Eubank, for Eubank to win, I think you want to vary the jab. You know, when you started off that first encounter in the first or second round there, you actually were using a pretty decent jab, and you had some success with it. The only thing I would argue is maybe it could have been a bit stiffer, a bit quicker, and brought back up to defend a bit more. That being said, the jab still needs to be implemented here. You just can't be as lazy with it or not bring it home for defense. You're going to want to keep that jab going because, number one, it opens up other shots for you, allows for you to potentially land those bigger shots, which you need to land in this fight to win. But the jab keeps it simple. It's just about setting it up with a simple 1-2 or a 1-1-2 or jabbing to the body and kind of bringing the guard down a little bit. It doesn't have to be so complex. It just has to be effective. And this can also create some space for you. Maybe move him back if you're kind of peppering him with that jab consistently enough, because you do need your space to work and you do need to stay off the ropes. Which leads to the next point. Stay off the ropes. As I've mentioned several times now, you need room to operate This is going to be vital to your success in this fight. You cannot lounge on those ropes. For you, it doesn't give you enough space to work. You don't throw quick, direct shots to the point well enough to throw them in those close quarters. You need to have a bit more room to finagle your kind of way into this fight. What's more, you can't generate the kind of power that you do because you tend to swing and put more of an oomph and a swing into your shot. Whether that's good or bad, the point is it's not going to be fixed in a single fight's time, so you need to give yourself the best position to land those kinds of blows. Up against the ropes is not that spot. As mentioned, that jab can kind of push him back, and if that gets going, you can take more of the center of the ring and have more success. But if you're on the ropes, you're going to be in trouble. And finally, don't look for single shots. As I've mentioned, you want to keep it simple, but you don't want to be so simple it's predictable. The jab is a good shot, but it can't be the only shot. Your power shots can be good, but they cannot be what you're looking to land at all times in this fight. It needs to be set up a little bit better. The jab can help with that, of course. Use that jab to push him back, then follow it up again. Simple 1-2, just land with the backhand. It doesn't have to be some complex blueprint here. It just has to be good enough that you're at least giving yourself more than one option. Because if you're just trying to jab him to death, he's going to come in, and if you're just trying to land that one blow, he's too good enough to likely be caught by it. So again, keep it simple, but don't make it so simple that it ultimately leads to the same fate of the first fight. And in terms of my pick here, I went with Eubank in the first one, but this time I'm rolling with the Scouser and Smith in this rematch. Smith just seems too composed, too kind of able to avoid the big shots of Eubank and land his own right hands while kind of pushing Eubank back, really bullying the guy that should be the bigger man. I think Chris will be caught off guard less in this fight, so this time he might perform a little bit better, but ultimately the more polished technical work of Smith will still allow for Liam to land hurtful right hands and combinations as he forces Eubank back. Maybe a bit later in the fight this time, but I think Smith pushes him back, bullies him as mentioned. Those right hands continue to land over the lazy jab, and ultimately Smith will earn the stoppage. Winner, Liam Smith via mid-fight stoppage. And in terms of the betting odds, we have Smith coming in as a minor favorite at a -165, with Eubank coming at a +130. For the most part, I could really argue either guy in this case, if, just depending on what you believe here. If you think Smith's going to repeat, 1.5 to 1 is not terrible. It's not bad for a favorite in a fight. Of course, if you're a person that believes Eubank just had an off night or got caught with an elbow or whatever the case may be, you might think those are pretty reasonable odds considering, you might have him winning this particular contest. But either way, it really is just a matter of kind of who you're going with and who you believe in, because both odds are at least acceptable as it pertains to a bet. In terms of the over-under, it's actually set at 10.5, with the over coming at a -135 and the under coming at a +105. I can understand why they're basically predicting a decision win either way in this fight. Maybe they think Eubank boxes more, or that Smith doesn't have it in him again. Personally, I like the under in this one. If Eubank happens to win, it could very well be because he catches Smith, and again, Smith has shown he can catch Eubank, so I don't see why you wouldn't be at least semi-comfortable with a, medium-sized bet on the under here. That's certainly the line that I'd be looking to take in this fight, but in any event, those are your odds. And my prediction record as of this recording is 26-11 with 18 exact, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your predictions, your bets, so on and so forth. And of course, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Here you can see all the social media. Be sure to follow me there. Greatly appreciate that as well. And of course, head over to JAYONBOXING.com for schedule results, betting odds, grades, all that good stuff. And as always, until next time.